we got a futon in the forest. Well, there's a good story behind this thing. November snow, look at this snow. Well, I couldn't pass those guys up. Looks like little Edison bulbs. Good morning, guys. We're finally back at the A-frame. Again, we're going to be doing the inside finishing today, which is very exciting for me. We've got a special wood stove we're going to install from Mini Cubic Wood Stoves. It's the Grizzly version. It's the bigger one. I haven't seen the bigger one yet. I've only ever used the smaller one, which is the Cub. And this video is sponsored by Ecoflow Delta. There'll be more on that later.
Hey, Frankie. Frankie, what do you think? What do you think? You gonna help? Hey, you gonna help? What do you think? What's over there? Go get him. Go get him.
Oh yeah, Don's here. Don says he waved. We just couldn't see. So we've got our rough kind of, you know, the electrical fairies came and they've got we got some plugs and some lights and some stuff. We still got a little bit more to button up. We got to clean this thing up a bit. And but yeah, this is what the plan is today. We got Frankie on board. Hey Frankie. Frankie, where'd you go?
Where'd you go? Where'd you go, Frankie? Like the wind. Frankie, where'd you go? Oh. Hey, Frankie.
Hey, how you doing, Frankie? Frankie's here. Hey, Frankie. What's up? You gonna help? Frankie's like, no, I'm just gonna run around like a freak. That's what Frankie's gonna do. Okay, so let's get this place a little cleaned up. Get ourselves a blank slate and let's get started. This video is sponsored by Ecoflow Delta. It has the world's fastest charging time. It'll go from 0% 80% charged within an hour. That's incredible. Some of the key things about this pack is that you can plug all your USB devices in front. You've got USB-C for your high drain devices like your iPads or your iPhones, regular USB-A. On this side of the pack, you have AC power. So it's got a pure sine AC inverter. It's got two powerful fans at the back, so the inverter never overheats. Another little port right here. This is your cigarette lighter adapter or your car charger. You can charge it both through AC and DC. So you can charge it using your car, or you can plug it into the wall and charge it that way. Or you can do optional solar panels. Ecoflow Delta has the patented X-Boost technology, which allows you to power high drain devices up to 1800 watts. The capacity on the pack is 1260 watt hours to allow you to power your devices even longer. Like I mentioned before, this pack can be charged three ways, either by AC through your home power, or through DC, your cigarette lighter or your car charge adapter, or through solar. One of the neat features about Ecoflow Delta is you can actually pair two of these packs together to give you twice the amount of power. So what you do is you plug one pack into the other pack, and then the first pack controls the second pack. And that allows you to run your devices twice as long. It's got rubber feet, so when you're moving it around, it doesn't always feel like it's gonna break. It's got like little rubber pads on here, so you can kind of like be rough with it, and it doesn't bang it all up. And I like the fact that it's got two handles. It's not obnoxious to carry with just one handle, but two handles. You get close to the body, and it's not that heavy. So it packs a lot of punch for such a small little guy. If you guys are looking to purchase one of these Ecoflow Deltas, the link will be in the description below.
Finally crafted.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so we started by adding some blocking to the wall, and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna actually put in our vertical board and batten siding. And so Don's just cutting up some of these board and battens, and once those guys are up, we're gonna put it on, and we're gonna do it kind of in stages, and then kind of, this thing is made of glass, single pane glass. You're probably wondering, where is the insulation, Kevin? Well, the insulation is outside. I bought it and I was going to install it, and then I thought to myself, this really no use to put insulation in. And if this thing gets wet and if there's condensation forming, it gets into the walls and it gets into the insulation, it's going to retain moisture. What I'd rather it to do is if it gets wet, it has the ability to dry out. And if anytime you put insulation and it gets wet, it has a really hard time drying out. So that's why I'm not putting insulation in this thing. And really, if I would have put insulation in, I would get R14 in the very little wall I have. This is majority glass, which has an R value of nothing or 1. It's the middle between 0 and 1. I'm gonna be working more so on air sealing than anything else in this build. So like If you've ever seen those guys that are putting up brick, they put themselves almost like a tarp bubble, and then they can heat it because it's air sealed. So that's the plan with this thing, is to get it air sealed, which allow me to retain my heat from my wood stove to give it a nice comfortable space, but the insulation is not going to provide very much value, and it can only hinder this progress. When I was thinking of the interior cladding on the A-frame, I thought that I want to use something thin enough that it's easier to work with. I was using large panels like plywood or something, and then trying to go around windows and stovepipes and whatnot, it would have been difficult. So what I actually chose to do was go thin pieces of board and batten in order to install it. So what I did with this particular install is I actually started from the middle and worked my way out to the edge. And the reason I did that is because once I get to the edge, I can actually use the board beside it as a measuring point, because otherwise you're kind of starting in the middle of nowhere and trying to figure out your angle. But once you've figured out the first angle, generally you can use that piece for the following piece and use it as a template in order to cut your other piece. So you slowly kind of methodically work your way up to the peak and get your pieces installed. And it's also easier to do breaks. So if you don't have to do a full length floor to ceiling piece, it's always easier. So you do a horizontal break in the middle of it. It kind of gives it a little bit more of a detailed finish. And it's also easier to install. So that's kind of what I did here, and it seemed to work out really well. All right, guys, I'm going to introduce you to the Cubic Mini Stove. This is the Cubic Mini Stove, but it's the grizzly version of it, which is the slightly larger version of the Cubic Mini Stove. The last couple of videos on my builds on the Cube and in the Glamper, we've installed the Cub, which is the smaller version of this guy. This is the biggest they make, but it's still very mini, which is really cool. So what I like about these things is because they're so small, they're ideal size for tiny cabins. A lot of other stoves that you see are like, they're rated for like 1,000 square feet, 1,200 square feet. This thing is ideally ideally sized for the cabins that we're building. So if you got like a tiny camper, or if you have a boat and you want to have a heat source, these guys are really cool. They're very efficient, and they use scraps of wood, or you can use cordwood, whatever you'd like to do. But so what our plan now is to actually give this guy a season. So when they ship them to you, they're fresh right out of the factory. They've got factory paint on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to light it up out here and allow it to cure. The paint will harden on it, and that smell, that new stove smell, will dissipate, and it won't be stuck in our cabin. Now that we have our back wall finished, we're going to put our stove mount in. This is the Cubic Mini Stove Grizzly wall mount kit. It's a stainless steel piece that's bent up really nice. You screw this little thing on here, and this is our wall mount. And what happens is this guy, this is the black piece that the stove hangs. It's like hanging a TV on the wall. So what we do is we put this guy here, and we screw this to the back wall, and that allows us to hang our stove, and then the chimney pipe goes up from there. So what I've actually done is I've removed these pieces because I forgot to put blocking. So I've got a 2x4 blocking over here, and that allowed me to screw directly into the through this bracket here, and have a secure mount on the wall, because the actual stovepipe and everything else sits on above it, and it's going to have a tremendous amount of weight sitting right here. So you want to make sure these screws are into something substantial. The somewhat tricky part, because you've got these screws, and then you've got the bushings at the back, so it doesn't collapse the. Those are the bushings. The spacers behind the stainless steel, so when you torque it in, it doesn't squash the stainless steel. So the idea behind the stainless steel is that it provides you sort of a heat shield against any combustible surfaces, and that's how you can mount your stove right on the wall. A lot of larger stoves require a tremendous amount of clearance, so that's why these stoves are ideal for tiny spaces such as this. And then I line up everything. And I drop one. Maybe I can get one in. I'm going to just start the screw. There you go, wall bracket. So when my stove is ready, we just set it in place. It's got little grooves here. We set her down in here, We're all ready to go. So what I wanted to do that beforehand is because I want to know where my trim's going to go and where my battens are going to go. I don't want to have to cut them out afterwards. So now I can add my battens and I know where the stove's going to be. Now the next step is these radiant shields that go on either side. So one goes here, another goes here, and they get tightened in place like so. We're ready to hang the stove almost. I've got my heat shield up along. I got 2 sections of it up, but so I ran into a little bit of a problem when I misordered the length of pipe I needed to get out of the building, so that's gonna have to be put on hold for a little bit. I actually was in contact with Cubic Mini this morning and they said they're gonna send me them out. So that's pretty cool. It's actually quite quick for the delivery, which is awesome. But which leads me to another really cool kind of feature about this thing. About this stove is that you don't necessarily need a little cabin to put it in. I was thinking like if you had a patio and it was, you know, the shoulder seasons, either the spring or the fall, and you wanted a little bit of ambiance, you could just kind of install this thing out in your, like on your, in your patio, right? Like this is throwing off a whole bunch of heat. So we have it burning out here just to get it cured, like for the paint and stuff. But if you had this guy on your patio, you probably want to put like probably a minimum of 3 lengths of pipe, so about 6 feet worth, and you can put your little chimney cap, mount it to like a rock, or even like if you've got like a little bar area or something like that, and you want to keep it a little bit warm, like you guys can't feel the heat, but you can see the heat. It's throwing off a considerable amount of heat. Like even if you're standing within a couple of feet of it, and what's really neat is it's cool looking, right? So like you're sitting around having a couple of bevies and you're enjoying your, I don't know, maybe you're having a snack out on your porch and you want to extend your season in your outdoor area. This guy is pretty cool. I don't think it's like, it's not designed that way, but I don't think it'd be a problem actually operating that. You probably want to keep it away from the rain, maybe, you know, build a little roof over top of it, but that's definitely something that you could do. Yeah, it's cool. It's taking the edge off of like our little work area out here, which is kind of cool. All right, so the next plan is to install more of the board and battens while we wait for our pipe. So Donna's actually taken the protective plastic off of the heat shield. Hey, how's that going, Don?
Going pretty well.
Yeah.
Once you get it going.
Yeah, if it was warmer, it would come off easier. It's like a catch-22, right? You gotta install the stove to get the plastic off the stove in order to install the stove, because it's stuck really well. That's the protective stainless steel. So the plan is to do this other wall here. We're gonna install some blocking, and then we'll carry on and maybe do some trim on this guy as well. Because I wanted to get the stove, kind of like the heat shield and stuff, installed, just so it gives me an idea of where I need trim, where I want the battens. Because otherwise you'd be actually installing the battens and then you'd be cutting the battens off in order to get the stove on the wall. So you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. So that's the plan. So let's carry on. Hey Don, it's snowing.
Yeah,
Snow, did you call for this snow?
It is November, so.
November. I thought it was supposed to be November rain. No,
I
it's a
guess
song.
that depends on where you are.
It's a song, right?
Yeah, Guns N' Roses.
That's
isn't
right.
It?
Yeah. In Canada, it's November snow. November snow. Look at this snow. Look at our little cubie. Look at our little cubie. It's snowing on the cubie. It's not even. It's just kind of evaporating. Sublimation. It goes from a solid to nothing. Still cooking. We got some nice heat coming off that thing. It's snowing. It's like a winter wonderland. So the plan with this stuff is to we'll first start with your first row, and then you face nail it, because you can't get the nailing gun close enough to the wall in order to hit it with the proper. So you face nail that guy, and then you toe nail it, and yeah, you carry on, and then you just work your way across the floor, just like that. Easy as that. You guys are probably wondering why I'm putting cherry hardwood floors in here. Well, we did a job a couple years ago, and the whole main floor of the house was installed with this beautiful cherry floor, and it was scheduled to actually be removed. And the primary reason why was because the tongues and the grooves aren't on the end. So that's why we ended up getting it. And like I said, it was destined for the landfill. Instead, I ended up denailing it and storing it. I had a whole pile of it, so I ended up using it in the outdoor workshop, and I probably have enough to do this cabin, which is really cool. I'm not so particular with the not having the ends, having the tongue and the groove, and those are designed so they don't pop up. But in a cabin, you're not so concerned. In your house, when you're trying to do the old Tom Cruise slide with your socked feet on the floor, not so good. Cabin, not so bad. Well, as it turned out, we had enough hardwood after all. We still have a whole pile left over. Look at the size of the pile over there. It's like a half a skid. So we started off with full skid. We got half a skid left. It turns out we had enough. So the star of the show is the Ecoflow Delta, because that we started off with 100% battery on this floor, and we're down to 90%. Ran the compressor, and the compressor ran the nail gun, and we were able to nail this entire floor off 10% of that battery, which is exceptional. Because as you guys know, the compressor does draw a lot of juice. It's like 1200 watts when it's running, and it peaks. So that was really cool. I'm actually very impressed with that. That's pretty cool. So we have enough left over, which I'm going to end up ripping the tongue off. I'm going to use it as baseboard around the base. I think that'll finish it off really nicely, and that gives me a nice wide edge to run my batons in, which the batons are going to go here, but I want to put the baseboard in first in order to butt up to the top of that, so they give us a nice little reveal. And I still got to do like the threshold at the door. Coming along quite nicely. There's nothing like doing a little bit of hardwood floors to remind you how old you are. A little bit earlier this week, we filmed a clip of the actual butchering of the pig, and so we ended up getting a whole pile of meat, and we're gonna go to that clip now, and you guys can have a look. Meanwhile, Dawn and I are actually going to pick up the second part of the pig, because the butcher was kind enough to actually smoke us some bacon and some roast. So we're heading there now. We're going to be cutting up our bacon into really thick pieces, and we're going to be cutting up our roast and packaging it. So that's the plan. All right, we're here. We're at the butcher, but the butcher is just having lunch, so he's giving us free range on, he says, go help yourself, go cut yourself some pork chops. So we're going in the cooler. The cooler, he said, these guys. So you want to grab that, Don?
This one here?
Sure. That's the pork chop. You want to just throw that right on the table there. We got to do another one we're going to cut up. So those are smoked pork chops. I would put it, where are we going to put it? We're going to put it over here on the bandsaw, and we're going to cut it up. What you doing there, Carl?
Curing the bacon.
Curing the bacon. Yeah, and is that just salt?
It's a sure cure, like your nitrate and your sugar.
Okay. That's a lot of bacon.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they're thick slices.
6 slices. Those are the largest slices I've ever seen of bacon.
Slowing down my jaw.
I know. I gotta stop production so they can hear me. So this is, Carl's added his signature pepper, salt, and some garlic in there.
Yeah.
It smells delicious.
Yeah.
It kind of looks pretty good too, even if it's not cooked yet. But so my plan is to mix this thing up so it's all intertwined in the meat, and it does smell really good. It's like, give me a spoon.
It does.
Doesn't that smell delicious? What do you think, Mom? You don't even have to come over here. The whole place smells like delicious now.
Just, what is it called? Pepper, salt?
Pepper, salt, and garlic in there.
But
That's
look
it?
at the quantity. I guess I don't do enough.
You don't do enough?
Yeah, probably don't put enough salt.
You don't add enough
That's it.
seasoning?
That's the peppercorns.
Yes.
I grind the peppercorns.
Because I like the peppercorns as well, but I don't put
The
half
butcher
as
pepper is a little more bitter. It's got more filler in it.
Okay.
much. Okay. This is,
A guy told me, he said, buy the peppercorns and grind them yourself
then
through
you
the
know
blender.
what you're not getting filler.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
why it smells so good.
That's
This
right.
is-
Makes a
smells-
difference.
Smells delicious.
All right, I'm turning my bit back on.
We're gonna mix now.
Rachel, you're great. You're doing great with those burger
Rachel's
things,
grinding
guys.
over there. She's making just ground
I'm
pork.
making ground pork.
Ground pork, you can use it in,
Meat pie sauce.
spaghetti sauce and whatnot. So this
Meat
is
pie soup.
mixing.
Okay.
How mixed do we want to go? Guess we got to get down below, eh? These two together, and then what about this one?
This
This
is
one
the-
here, just the regular pork.
This is
Okay.
my ground pork.
So we're dumping that into the bucket.
No, these into there.
Oh, we grind it in sausage.
Yeah, that and that mixed together.
Mix together on the table and then stick it in the hole.
Then grind it in there.
All right, so the plan now is to take this bucket and this bucket, put it over on the table and grind it into
That guy
sausage.
don't know nothing.
What's that?
That guy don't
These are
know
called
nothing.
The guy doesn't know nothing.
You
I
don't
don't
know
know
nothing.
anything, that's why I'm here to learn.
I leave the
Yeah, I
all
would.
in one piece.
Okay, let's go that way.
I would.
Yes.
It's like he's done it before.
How big you want it, Rachel?
I have no clue.
Yeah, Rachel, how big do you want it?
That grinder has no mercy.
No, yeah, no. It don't care about you.
I didn't know how much you wanted in here. Rachel just put like half a pound.
So what do you think, Mom?
Very much of a learning experience. Wonderful.
That was very natural, Mom.
That's very natural. Learning experience.
Is your learning experience? You didn't think you were doing this today, did you?
Well, kind of thought I had to come and wrap meat. I didn't think I was cutting it up.
Carl, did you know that bacon right now is selling for $8 for 500 grams?
Mm-hmm.
You got like, right there is probably what?
They're about 10 pounds right now.
10 pounds, divide that into
I'm
grams.
not quite done trimming it yet. There's still a little more fat on the one side.
Do the math. If you traded that thing in, you could probably buy yourself a Ford F-150.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're moving right along. We've got 4 giant roasts. These guys will be, we've injected them with the salt water. I've injected them with salt water. And they're going to cure. Am I saying that right, Carl?
Yeah.
They're going to cure. And then they're going to go in the smokehouse and get
Tomorrow
smoked.
morning.
Tomorrow morning, they're going in the smokehouse. And afterwards, we're going to cut them up in slightly more manageable size roasts. They're currently about 30 pounds a piece. And then we've got 4 slabs of bacon. How much do you think each slab weighs? Each slab of bacon, what do you think? What do you think each slab?
Oh, it'll be about 8 pounds.
8 pounds each
Then
slab.
the rind comes off yet.
Right, okay. So we've got quite a bit of bacon, and we've got sausage over here. Rachel's been making my sausage. Is that what you're used to here?
Yeah, about that.
That's about that. Okay. All right. So then we got what we're gonna do here. We've got a 10-pound bag of
Sausage meat. Sausage meat.
sausage meat, and we're actually gonna take those back to the house, and we're going to make them into little patties for like breakfast patties. That's our plan with that. And we've got everything else over there. We got the pork chops all cut up. We're gonna send a couple of the pork chop. What's it called? It's a pork chop.
Pork loin.
Pork loin. So we got 2 pork loins. We're gonna send them in the smoker, and we're gonna smoke some of the pork chops. We're gonna smoke the pork loin, and then we're gonna cut them into pork chops after we smoke them. I gotta make sure it's right, because somebody will fact check me on that.
Sounds about right.
Mama Bear is still wrapping. So much sausages.
Sausages.
Nice sausages. We got sausages. Lots of sausages. Okay. I think we're good. We're good. We're just helping Carl clean because that's important. Cleanliness. So this is Carl's smoker. This is where the magic happens. As you can see, this is what most smokers look like. This is the, we're not gonna go quite inside, but this is a big smoker. Let's go inside. You can see, you can't see anything. It's dark.
And you hang the stuff up on the raft.
Yeah. Hang the stuff on the rafters.
Yeah.
You can I can't even see it. It's like black as black can be in there. Anyways, so you hang the stuff up in the rafters, you light a little smoke fire, and then she smokes for overnight, and then you got all your stuff good. She's getting windy, eh, Mom? You feel like a piece of ham? Can't even.
Put the sawdust in the side here,
Yeah.
and then put some hot coals on, and then it'll
Oh, okay.
go back and forth there all winter if you keep the sawdust on.
Okay, so the sawdust goes down here.
Yeah.
So the coals, and then you just kind of smolder. So it's like a little.
Just start it at this end, and then it
Oh, it works its way over.
Works its way over and comes
You can
back.
kind of see the.
And the sausage hang up on these rafters here, up where the nails are.
Okay, the links,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
What is that, grease?
no, it's
Grease on here? What is
creosote.
this on
That's
here?
creosote.
Creosote.
That's creosote, yeah.
All right, so we're all cleaned up here. Carl's got a little bit more scrubbing to do, but that's okay, right, Carl?
Yeah, that's
You
right.
got to do the nooks and crannies because we got to make sure she's clean for the next guy. But thank you very much for helping us. You've taught us a lot. I really appreciate it.
And I enjoyed it
Yeah,
very much.
Do you have any parting words? Like, what should we just enjoy, right?
Enjoy it.
Add some greens beside it, and away we go.
That's right.
All right, thanks a lot, Carl.
Yeah, thank you too.
We got her all packed up. That was we did smoked pork chop and smoked roast, and we had our bacon. So we have I don't know, probably about 30 or
Ham steaks.
ham steaks. That's right. And I think we got about 40 pounds of bacon or something like that, which is like I was saying before, you trade that bad boy and get yourself a Ford F-150 at these prices. So we're gonna head on back, get it in the freezer because we've got to freeze it. And it's always important when you're gonna get that much meat in a chest freezer is always rotate it after the first day, because a lot of the times in the middle of the stuff it doesn't get frozen all together. So you want to rotate it in the freezer, move it around so everything gets frozen. It's a pretty big draw on the freezer, but yeah. What'd you think, Don?
That's good.
It was good. Was
Went very well.
was that a learning experience? This first time?
No, I've wrapped meat before, but not for a long time. So,
There you go, blast from the past.
It's a little bit of retro work, I guess.
Cool. All right, well, that's pretty much going to wrap up the story of the pigs. We ended up getting 300 pounds of meat out of those pigs. So they were about 350, and when they got dressed out, meaning, yeah, so there were 300 pounds of finished meat. That's pretty good. So we had 600 pounds of meat total, which is a huge amount of ham. We ended up using the s'more of the board and battens at the top of the cathedral, and all we gotta do is put the battens, but we got that installed. Actually, I think it looks crazy. It looks amazing. Look at that. We just gotta put some battens in, but first we gotta put our trim on. So we got our trim around our doors. Now we got our baseboard. So what we've done is we've repurposed the hardwood floor, and we've ripped it into some strips. So this is gonna be our baseboard. I think it's fitting. It's a cherry baseboard in our little cabin. But as you can see, let me switch you around right there. There's our baseboard, and then our battens will go, and it'll cover our cracks. But we have to put our baseboard on first because our battens aren't as thick as our baseboard. So that's going to trim it off. Nicey nice. Another fine day in the woods. We ended up I ended up going shopping for some lights last night, and as it turns out, it's more difficult to find what's inside my head at the store than you'd believe. So my plan was to originally get some kind of like a two-leg fixture, kind of like a wall sconce that shines up and shines down. I couldn't find those. Originally I saw them at Costco at one point, and anything you see at Costco, if you don't buy it right away, you'll never find it again. Arctica was the brand that I actually wanted, and they were LED and they were relatively cheap. Instead I went to Home Depot and I ended up finding a couple of light wall sconces, and then instead of putting a regular bulb in which shine everywhere, I just kind of like did like a down light, which should shine down. I want to light the floor up. I don't want to light the ceiling up because well, I got glass as the ceiling, so that's my plan there. So I've got three. I got one up there, and I've got two up here. And now we're just working on putting the trim on, because once we have the trim on, we can butt our battens up. But first we've got to actually get around. This is kind of like a tricky window to trim, because you got hard space here, and then you got the fireplace there, and it's kind of the stuff like I don't know if it's that interesting to watch. I should probably, like, I'll show you when it's done. Maybe not the whole process, because there's a lot of swearing, and yeah, we're not gonna show that. We might show a little bit. Okay, let's get started, because if we don't get started, it doesn't get done. So this is our trim. This is old mahogany. It's been painted white, and we're gonna reuse it because it's still good stuff. It's got a few knots, and it's ideal trim when it was brand new. But this stuff's probably about 40 or 50 years old. It's got a little smell to it. What does it smell like, Don?
It smells like perfume.
It smells like a little like old lady.
Like a
like an old lady perfume.
yeah,
It's weird.
like your grandmother or aunt,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Wow. It's definitely got a smell to it. I think it's because we're cutting it. Once it's sitting there and not doing anything, it's not going to smell
And we've
funny.
noticed that before, though.
Yeah, it's true. But when I say it smells like old lady, it doesn't mean anything bad. It smells like, like grandma would smell like, before. While she's still wearing perfume. Yes, that's right.
When installing window casing, I find the easiest way to do it is actually to take your trim and cut it a little bit longer than you need it to be, and then take that piece, set alongside the window, and mark your 45s where they start. You want to leave yourself a little bit of reveal, because that gives you a little bit of style once you're done. And then once you've cut your 45, you just do a test fit, and if you've got to adjust it that way, you just cut a little bit more on it. One of the problems I found with the casing installation on the A-frame in particular was it was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. The windows were butted directly up against the actual structure of the frame, so you kind of had to do a little bit of a trial and error in order to get it to fit properly, and the wood stove was tight against that as well. So you kind of had two 45s, and then one ended up butting up to nothing. So yeah, once you got your trial and error, you kind of cut a little bit off. You always want to cut it a little bit at a time in order to see if it's going to fit or not. But otherwise, it's just a little bit of tediousness, and you get her done.
Nothing more satisfying than a nice miter joint.
True. I figure you guys may want to know a little helpful hint whenever you're doing board and batten. So when you put the boards up, it's not super critical you make them plumb, and the reason why is because afterwards you could straighten them out. So it's not a bad idea to put them plumb, but if you don't get them perfectly plumb, and in this case we didn't get them perfectly plumb, what you would do is you would take your laser and you shoot a straight line, and what that allows you to do is put your battens on, and it gives the illusion of all your boards being plumb. So we take our batten and we install it like this. So we shoot our laser, and then when our eye looks at it, it gives the illusion of plumb. So that's what, if I had a third hand, I'd nail that thing in. But since I'm up a ladder and holding a camera, I can't. But I figured I'd show you that. But that's how we're making the illusion of everything being perfectly plumb, is we got a laser. I got a really wide piece. This is my sacrificial piece I'm gonna use as a template. And what I'm gonna do is actually cut out the bottom of the jamb, because I wanna be able to slide my threshold piece underneath the jamb on both sides. So I got this special tool, little Mastercraft Fiend tool. It's actually a really cool tool because you can kind of like a plunge cut. And so I'm gonna cut along the edges on both sides in order to fit my threshold. When I picked a board for a threshold, I made sure the cupping was cupping upwards so the water drains off the front of it, because I don't want any water sitting on the sill. And then I'm going to further waterproof it by actually caulking the edges of this guy in order to help prevent water from going underneath the jamb. But I'm pretty sure it's going to stay pretty waterproof. This is an old barn board, and it's been oiled, so it's got like a lot of water resistant qualities to begin with. And this is how they used to do thresholds back in the day with wood anyways. So modern houses, you'd have like a concrete sill or like an aluminum sill, but you know what, I don't think there's not going to be that much driving rain in this direction, so I think it'll weather okay. And if worst case scenario, you just pull it out and you put a new one in. Not a big deal. All right, another fine day. I think we're going to take the opportunity to go down to the Tarp cabin, give you guys a little update on that, because as there was a lot of people that said it wasn't going to last and it was going to blow away. It wasn't going to last. It was going to blow away. It was going to fall apart. There was many things. A bear was going to eat me through the plastic, like a sandwich in a cellophane bag. That didn't happen. Don doesn't have a very good track record traveling down here. What happened last time you went down there, Don?
Well, actually, the last two times I went in the creek.
Twice you fell in the creek?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, once.
I only knew about the one time.
No, the last time when I was helping Chris.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah, Chris
And
got
then,
a deer the other day, and he fell in the creek. Head first?
No, kind of just, well,
Sort of.
kind of splashed up on me.
Anyway.
And the other time it was more of a double soaker.
Oh, okay. So you haven't like completely gone for a swim yet?
No, not,
Okay.
not. I can't swim, so that's a good thing.
What do you think, Don?
It's pretty impressive.
Isn't that cool? Nothing wrong with it.
Nope. Dry as a bone.
Isn't it crazy how dry? It's actually warm in here. For those of you who haven't seen this video, you can actually check it out. It's on the channel. It's the plastic wrap tarp cabin shelter build. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to check that out. If you haven't seen it, a lot of people have. Figured to give you guys an update. This thing was built in February, so it's gone through an entire winter. It's gone through the entire summer. Now we're into fall, and it's still good as ever. You know, like there's no condensation or mold or buildup or anything like that. It's possibly due to the airspace, and it's like the pallets that are inside are nice and dry. It's held up well. So the ultimate plan on this thing, and again, it's up to you guys whether or not you guys are interested in this sort of thing, but I was thinking of making this sort of more of a permanent shelter, maybe making a pallet wood cabin of sorts, and then taking the plastic wrap shelter and maybe moving it over that way over there where it's a little bit sunnier, and maybe, you know, have a little herb garden or something like that. It's a lot of work getting the stuff out here because it is really far in the bush, so I'll have to truck it. Maybe wait until winter and then we can use a sled. But this place is like, this is where my brother comes hunting. So he comes up here and he's got a tree stand up there, and he hunts over there, and he's got this little turkey blind over there, which is that little black thing. So that'll probably stay there. And yeah, so there you go. Update on the plastic wrap cabin. Got your lamp. Look, doesn't that look cool? That's a cool looking lamp. I love that lamp. That's why it's coming with me. It's weathered well. Okay, let's we're gonna head back. We're gonna walk back, and then we're gonna carry on with the construction of the A-frame. That thing, it's got some more stuff to do. It's a nice fall day. Nice good day for a walk, anyways. So we're moving right along here. We've got all our little window sills. I don't even think they're sills. They're just sills. The sill plates all cut out. Those were kind of like a pain in the butt because you had to cut around these little beams. So they're nice and sitting. We've got both sides all done. I figure we should celebrate that accomplishment by having coffee. It's coffee time. Don and I are we're gonna try the with the Ecoflow on a kettle, because that's the ultimate test on especially on a power pack, is to run a kettle. So I got my French press here, so we're gonna set that up. We're gonna set that up. We're gonna set coffee. Do I need a coffee? I don't know. Probably should have a coffee. It's 3 o'clock. Coffee. And then what we can do is we can actually power this thing up, because I think it's all ready to go. We'll actually be able to set the power packs in place and actually power up the lights, because it's always exciting to see how it is when it's lit up. Oh, she's ramping up. 1500 watts. We can hear the inverter kicking on. This is like the ultimate test of any pack, whether it can run a kettle. 1400, 1500, 57 Fahrenheit. We're heading to, what are we heading to? 200? Let's do Canadian. We're heading to 100 Celsius. We're 14 Celsius right now. I grind my beans. While this is boiling, I grind my beans. I'm losing all my beans. You guys are gonna probably wonder why the heck we got a futon in the forest. Well, there's a good story behind this thing. I found it. I was going to get furniture, and I found it. There was I actually talked to the people, so they didn't have bed bugs or anything. It wasn't like a random futon on the side of the road. They had just put it out, and they're like, yeah, we just don't have any room for it. And they said, yeah, you can have it. So what's good about this is it's not leather, it's vinyl. And if you guys ever had a leather anything in the forest, the moisture tends to make the leather turn into a moldy mold fest. So you don't want to have like leather gloves, anything that's kind of got that moisture in it. They start to grow. So you want vinyl furniture if you're going to have kind of anything off grid that you're not going to heat all of the time, that gets a little bit of moisture in it. That's the plan. So anyways, cheers to that. We've got my my cubic mini stove mug. This is, you got your tea. You brought your tea.
I brought my tea.
You're not doing, you don't want to do coffee.
Not today. I've got tea, so.
Yeah. But yeah, look at this. So the dual purpose A-frame thing is a bed. It's a chair. Doesn't do either one of them good. But hey, you know what? When you're in the it's a nice place to sit. Yeah. Futon. They say about futon. What is it? They say it's yeah. I can't remember what they say about the futon. It does its trick, right? The coffee's good. That's the thing about the power packs, is that when you charge them up and you have the power stored, you can put them on the shelf and they're there when you need it. They hold charge for like close to a year. So like if, you know, in the middle of winter and your power goes out in the middle of the night and you wake up and you're like, I need a coffee, and then you're like, oh, got no power. You're like, you know what? You pull the power pack out, you plug it in, good to go. It makes life that much better when you have access to stored power. In an emergency situation, if you gotta run your sump pump or something like that, that's another plus to have, you know, external power, stored power. Coffee sure does taste good when you think you can't make it and then you can. That's what it's all about. Any words of advice, Don?
Not right now.
It's like Coach's Corner. But Don's not doing the talking.
No, that's right.
Ron McLean's doing the talking. So no words of advice?
Oh no, I was just thinking.
You were thinking of some advice?
I was trying, but nothing's coming.
Nothing's coming.
So
Oh,
I think
well.
it's just a relaxing.
It is. It's great. You know what? They should have like forest furniture. Just need a coffee table.
Oh, we have one over there.
We gotta make coffee tables. We got some projects lined up. Well, we sat down far too long. You know, you kind of get it away on you. It's like, enjoy the day, right? The winter's coming. It's gonna get snowy really, really soon. So might as well just enjoy the time when we get the nice weather. So, all right. So now we're gonna try to power this guy up, because why not, right? It's getting a little dark. Ta-da! We got light. Oh, that's pretty nice. So what we got there is the Ecoflow pack powering the entire cabin now. We've got receptacles on all the walls, so that the way there is we hook it up directly into there. So that's a double-ended cord. Switches, ooh, lights. Actually, I like that. I like that a lot. That's pretty cool. Just enough light, I think. We don't want to light the ceiling up. This is actually really cool. What do you think, Don?
Very nice.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I like it.
It's just enough light. It's not too bright, and it's still daylight out, so it's not extra bright. Well, I couldn't pass those guys up. I was at my local junk store, and I guess they get some returns from Home Depot every once in a while. And those are patio lanterns, and I think they're cool. They're nice, and they got the ambiance. So when the stars aren't out and you want your inside stars on, you just turn the switch. You got the switch. Turn them on, turn them off, turn them on, turn them off. That's pretty neat. It's got that nice warm glow. So when you want, you know, you got the crackling fire, and then you look up and you see the nice twinkly, looks like the little Edison bulbs, which are the but those are actually low voltage LED bulbs. They're 2 watts a piece. So I don't know, you can do the math on that guy. That's not terrible, but it's pretty cool. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I want you to join me on the next one. I'm going to do an overnight here, and we can test out some of the we can test the mini cubic, which is really going to be really cool. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this one, and join me on the next one.